Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about 1997's Jackie Brown and its brand new Lionsgate 4K Blu-ray that just came out. And guys, it's Quentin Tarantino week here on the channel. I just happened to get all four of the brand new Quentin Tarantino movies on 4K Blu-ray, Inglourious Basterds from Arrow Video, and then I got the Lionsgate 4K Blu-rays for Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, and the movie we'll be talking about today, Jackie Brown. Quentin Tarantino is my favorite director of all time, so I felt obligated to have to pick these movies up. And of course, I like to do a Quentin Tarantino rewatch every single year. Kind of fits into winter, even though all of his movies take place, kind of around different eras and different weather, especially his first three films in Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and then of course Jackie Brown, all of them taking place in the Los Angeles area. You can call it his Tarantino Los Angeles trilogy, and he would return back to that with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the last film he ever did. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself because I like to always give a quick film review, and if you don't want to know anything about the film Jackie Brown, make sure you guys skip ahead to that 4K Blu-ray review right now. So like I said, Jackie Brown was released in 1997, Christmas Day 1997, so Merry Christmas to everybody. This is the first film, and I believe only film, Quentin Tarantino's actually adapted from a book. He adapted this from the Elmore Leonard book, Rum Punch. He actually got the rights to 3 Elmore Leonard books, and he wasn't going to actually direct this movie. He actually reread it, and he fell back in love with the book, and he's like, you know what, this is going to be the movie I make next, and that's how he ended up making Jackie Brown. He changed some stuff around, including making the lead character of Jackie Brown, I don't think her name was even Jackie Brown at the time, a black woman when she was originally a white woman. Elmore Leonard's like, oh, that's cool, and he wanted to cast Pam Grier. And Quentin Tarantino is a huge fan of 1960s and 1970s blaxploitation movies, and earlier this year I actually watched the 4 movies he brought up in the interview that made him want to cast Pam Grier. All of these are Jack Hill films: The Big Birdcage, The Big Dollhouse, Coffee, and Foxy Brown. And the movie Jackie Brown clearly took a lot from Foxy Brown and Coffee, especially Coffee, because the character of Jackie Brown in this movie, played by the great and legendary Pam Grier, really giving her career a resurgence, and that's kind of what Quentin Tarantino was doing, whether it be Harvey Keitel in Reservoir Dogs, John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. In this movie, he's like, I'll get 2 for the price of 1. I'll bring back not only Pam Grier, but I'll also revitalize Robert Forster's career, which he maintained that level of success all the way through his death. If you guys remember the show Breaking Bad, he was great in that as a vacuum repairman slash cleaner, very similar to the Harvey Keitel character in Pulp Fiction. So a nice little tie in there. And this movie, despite being a Quentin Tarantino movie, me and a lot of people, especially when they saw this for the first time, if you were coming off of Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, then you put Jackie Brown on, this movie's much more of a hangout movie. We kind of turned the violence down a little bit. It's definitely much more dialogue heavy. It's also a great caper film. So, towards the third act of this movie, we're trying to see how things are going to go down. We see it from a bunch of different angles. It's a lot of fun. The score is great. The soundtrack is fantastic. Just like Robert Forster, I never would have found out about the Delphonics if it wasn't for this movie right here, and I do not mind hearing the song, Didn't I Blow Your Mind This Time, at least 4 times in the movie. It's fantastic. They're a great band. Of course, even the opening credits are a classic and an homage to Graduate.
Left its seeds while I was sleeping and looked across 110th Street. Pimps trying to catch a walk.
Which, of course, Tarantino loves to wear his homages on his sleeve, so that opening credits, like walking across 110th Street, that's an homage to that. All the characters in this movie are fantastic. I haven't even talked about Samuel Jackson yet.
My ass may be dumb, but I ain't no dumbass.
And his character of Ordell. Ordell, it's really close. Like, I did a top 10 Samuel Jackson characters, and I don't think I had Ordell at number 2, and Ordell really should be number 2, right behind Jules. And I go back and forth. Jules, though, has the more flashier performance, whereas Ordell, he's much more reserved in this movie. Yeah, of course, he's got the crazy wig on, that ponytail, which Chris Tucker brings up in his one little short scene. You ponytail wearing motherfucker. But, it works for his character. You don't expect it. You don't suspect that this guy is, because he's so smart. He is always the smartest guy in the room. He's playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. Of course, you're also, when you decide to play that with Pam Grier, she's going to get a little bit better than you. Because, she's playing every single side in this movie. But Ordell thinks that he's playing everybody. He thinks he's smart. He's got people in places that are there to help him. He's got his buddy, played by Robert De Niro in this movie, who, the first time I ever watched this movie with Robert De Niro, I was like, wow, what? I don't know if that character fits. But he's supposed to be a burnout. He's supposed to be somebody like on their like last legs who used to be something special, but he's gone to jail so much. Everything is just kind of it's broken him down. This guy used to be a bank robber. I guess he's not that successful because he did go to jail, but Ordell trusts him. And then, towards the end of the movie when he ends up killing Bridget Fonda's character, which, I'm not supporting killing, but she wouldn't shut the fuck up like Robert De Niro says. And you can clearly see this guy's just flustered and can't handle these situations anymore. And he just kills her. And then, Samuel Jackson's character, he has to end up killing him. And he's like, what happened to you? You used to be so beautiful. Like, a big part of this movie is aging. Like we see Robert Forrester and Pam Grier's character talking about getting older and how you deal with that. Some people, they thrive in that. They take off. Their second act is so much better, whereas characters like Robert De Niro, that guy, unfortunately, he's burnt out and there's nothing more he can do. And Samuel Jackson feels like he's probably doing him a favor by putting him out of his misery because he's nothing more than an old dog now. And the third act just does really tie this movie together. Another homage that I never even realized when watching this movie until I watched it on rewatches. Sid Haig was somebody who worked with Pam Grier in a lot of those blaxploitation movies in the 1970s. People probably recognize Sid Haig today from working in the Firefly trilogy with Rob Zombie, but he's been working all the way since the 1970s, and I can see why a lot of directors like Quentin Tarantino and Rob Zombie would cast Sid Haig, because he's always great, but he plays the judge in this movie in a small role. I'm like, is that Sid Haig? I'm like, that's pretty cool to bring back Pam Grier and Sid Haig together. Like I said, they had great chemistry in a bunch of movies from the 1970s. He always just showed up in the blaxploitation movies. But it really is Pam Grier's movie, and it's hard to pick a favorite performance in this movie because I do really enjoy it, but Pam Grier is the glue that ties it all together. Michael Keaton even pops up in a small part in this movie as Ray Nicolette, and Michael Keaton's character actually show up again in Out of Sight, which is directed by Steven Soderbergh. I believe it came out a year later or 2 years later, starred George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez. A very small role, but it's Ray Nicolette again because that movie's based on an Elmore Leonard novel as well. Pretty cool to see a character double up because it's a small character in both films. But of course, Michael Keaton does a great job in this film as well, chewing gum. And I think if you haven't revisited Jackie Brown in a while, this really is Quentin Tarantino's underrated masterpiece. This is my third favorite Tarantino film, only behind Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. I just love this movie. Jackie Brown wasn't this high for a long time. I used to have Kill Bill a little higher. I think that one thing that comes with age, and this film is dealing with age, is, your outlook changes on things. And I think after rewatching this movie now at 33 years old, it's a lot more relatable Jackie Brown than it was when I was watching this movie at, say, 18 years old. You can actually understand the aging of these characters a little bit more, because as we all get older, it gets a little bit tougher, and it's how do you feel about it? Some people have a hard time with it, while others, they deal with it with no issue. And I love that this movie is concentrating on that. And Tarantino did this at a pretty young age, and this is definitely a much more mature Quentin Tarantino film. And it's no surprise that he took 6 years off after this movie and dived into something that feels like more of the stereotypical Tarantino film in the Kill Bills, whereas this movie, I think it's a gem that has just aged perfectly. But let's talk about this 4K Blu-ray that just came out.
Yes or no? Is she dead?
Pretty much. Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown.
Well, this is the Lionsgate Jackie Brown 4K slipcover edition, and this will be replacing my Jackie Brown Blu-ray that I had right here. That Jackie Brown Blu-ray that I do have right here is the same exact Blu-ray that is packed in right here, so you get the 2 discs in this set. When you slide the slipcover off, same artwork underneath. It did also come with a digital code. You got individual disc design. I can always appreciate that. You'll notice that I got the regular standard edition. There was Lionsgate limited steelbook editions, not just for Jackie Brown, but for Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 as well. I was going to grab those steelbook editions. Lionsgate Limited does have shop pay, but they don't have the pay installments section. So unfortunately, I just could not justify paying $40 for each one of those steelbooks. So I went over to the Atomic Movie Store. I got Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 on Standard Edition along with Jackie Brown, and the Atomic Movie Store also has shop pay, but you could pay in installments, so that's how I was able to get these 3 films on 4K Blu-ray, was paying in installments on the Atomic Movie Store. That's why I really do love to use them, and they also individually package everything in beautiful bubble wrap, so everything always gets here safely from the Atomic Movie Store. But it was a tough pill to swallow to pick up that regular Standard Edition, even though I do think that slipcover is the best of the 3 that we've gotten from Lionsgate as far as the standard editions goes. And that pack-in Blu-ray, like I was saying, it's the same as the previous edition. So that means all of your extras are going to be on that previously released Blu-ray. And that is fine. There is no way I think they could add new extras other than to get like new interviews with some people, which I would really appreciate. But there is a making of documentary on here. There's a looking back on Quentin Tarantino's. There's a looking back roundtable discussion. You get all these trailers for Robert Forster and Pam Grier, which I think is awesome in their own curated section. So like they really went the extra mile on the extras here, which is something that they used to do. They used to really pack these things with all of these extras. Like there's a MTV ad on here featuring Pam Grier to like promote Jackie Brown. Like that stuff is awesome. I love that they included all that on the extras. There's nothing more I can ask for. Yes, of course I could ask for more, but I would be getting greedy at that point because the extras are phenomenal on here. It's just everything I could ask for. That making of documentary, it does feel like a little bit promotional material, but hell, you got interviews with everybody on there. I don't care if they're all patting themselves on the back and patting Tarantino on the back for being a genius. Still had a great time. Found out some information I probably wouldn't have known if I didn't watch that. Given I've seen that making of a few times before, but hey, if you've never seen it before, it's packed in on that second Blu-ray disc. And now the audio is the same DTS HD Master Audio 5.1, and from what I understand, Quentin Tarantino, the reason why he did that for this and the Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2s is he really likes this audio. He doesn't feel like it needs an upgrade. And I understand that. I would say, though, of the 3 audio tracks, Jackie Brown probably had the weakest of these new Lionsgate ones. But like I was saying earlier, this is much more of a toned back. As far as Tarantino movies go, it's got violence, but not as much as like in what we would get in the Kill Bill movies. So, having an audio track, as long as everything comes in crisp and clear, it starts to bump when it needs to bump. You get a little bit of bass with some of the music. That stuff all works perfectly. You never need to adjust your volume. So I can't really say I have too many complaints about this. I would just say if you were comparing it to like Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, it's a little bit more reserved, I think is the best way to describe it, but the film itself is a much more reserved film compared to Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, so it doesn't have as much punch, but the film doesn't have as much punch, if that makes any sense. And then, of course, when we get into the visuals, it's going to be presented in the aspect ratio of 1.85. You will have Dolby Vision and HDR10, and I would say this is very comparable to like Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction on 4K Blu-ray. They use the original camera negative, so unlike Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, which are 2K upscales, this, I believe, is in native 4K. And I think that really does show, because when you watch the movie, it's a big improvement over the previous Blu-ray, which isn't a bad Blu-ray, by the way. So if you have that previously released Blu-ray and you might maybe want to wait for a sale, like those steelbooks probably won't go on sale, but the standard editions might. Maybe it's not something you have to get right away, but it is a noticeable jump to the 4K Blu-ray format. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. The colors are beautiful. We've maintained the film grain. The HDR is doing some work. Pam Grier is wearing that blue uniform a lot in the movie, and your eyes will get drawn to it. The close-ups on like Ordell and Chris Tucker's faces earlier in the movie, you can see all those little tiny details, so it comes in crisp and clear. We're hitting the deep blacks, which I was very impressed about, but it also still looks like Jackie Brown, whereas Jackie Brown looks like a 1997 film. When you watch Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, you can clearly see the homages to the blaxploitation films in like the set design, and then even when you get to Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, those are clearly paying homage so much to the martial arts films, blaxploitation films, spaghetti westerns that Tarantino loves, whereas this feels like it's 1997. The clothes that everyone's wearing, the cars everyone's driving, the bars they go to, that dark red bar, I love how that looks on 4K Blu-ray. You maintain the look of Jackie Brown. It always felt a little bit different than the other Tarantino movies, and I didn't want to lose that look, and they didn't lose it with this 4K Blu-ray. So Jackie Brown, overall, out of these 4K Blu-rays, just blew me away. I was a little bit worried because I heard things about Kill Bill. I'm like, I hope that Jackie Brown didn't get touched. I'm hoping that, like it says, they use that original scan and it's in native 4K and it should look absolutely beautiful. That's what people complain about in Inglourious Basterds, which we'll talk about later this week on Friday. But talking about this movie, they did such a good job on this 4K Blu-ray transfer. I'm so happy. This way now I have Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and Jackie Brown, my 3 favorite Quentin Tarantino movies, in stunning 4K Blu-ray. There's really not too much more I can ask for. If I was going to rate this 4K Blu-ray from Lionsgate getting a score of 1 to 10, I would give Jackie Brown a very, very solid 9 out of 10. What a great 4K Blu-ray. But this is also going to come down to, how do you guys feel about Jackie Brown? If you're not the biggest Jackie Brown fan, there's probably no reason for you to pick this up on day 1 on 4K Blu-ray. But if you're somebody who loves this movie like I do, do, and you've been waiting for this 4K Blu-ray and you're a little bit worried, I could definitely recommend picking this one up. It's just, how do you feel about it? Do you want to get the standard edition, or do you want that Lionsgate limited edition? It really does kind of come down to you on that. But guys, it's also Tuesday, and that means it's time for our digital code giveaway. And every single video that we do on Friday, I ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you had to do was answer one in the comment section. As long as you did that, you came back to this video right here where I put your name on a magic wheel and I spun that bad boy 2 times. The 2 names it landed on, they have their choice of the digital codes you see on your screen before you today. And you know what? Let's just get right into it and spin this magic wheel. Alright, congratulations, Cat Daddy Carnage and home theater enthusiast. Cat Daddy Carnage, one of the original subscribers here on the channel, guy who has been supporting the channel since, we actually just passed our 3-year anniversary. This is the 4th year of the channel. Cat Daddy Carnage has been here since the very beginning when there was like 6 names on the wheel, and it's always cool to see him pick up a win because he's one of my long-time supporters. And home theater enthusiast, short-term supporter, but he always jumps in there, comments, and it's nice to see him pick up a win as well. So you guys know how this works. Reach out to me, my email address, letstalkentmt@gmail.com. Let me know which of those digital codes you want, and as long as the other winner doesn't take it, that digital code is all yours. And if you didn't win today, make sure you guys come back to Friday's video, which will be my review of Inglourious Bastards on Arrow Video 4K Blu-ray, where we'll do this all over again. And guys, we also have channel memberships, so if you want to become a friend of the channel, a producer for the channel, like the great John Doe Juggalo, or you want to become a channel director like Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews and Mr. Smelly Potato, you guys can look for all that information in the description below. But if you got no money to throw away, guys, don't you worry about it. We just hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, get out in those streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.